It is wild how much can change in such a short amount of time. If you can't already tell and you've been following along this journey of me sharing the unfiltered, very real version of life after birth and the reality of it that isn't shared on social media in this detail, it's been rough ever since giving birth, and this week something happened. So I had heard from a lot of mom friends and a lot of people saying, it gets so much better, especially around the 3-month mark. But when you hear that and it's only week 3, you're like, I don't know if I can make it to week 4, let alone wait till month 3. Sorry, I'm rocking her with my right hand. Today is Thursday that I'm recording this. Sunday and Monday, I was still feeling so overwhelmed, so just like in this fog. And if you look at my previous videos, you'll see what I mean. I couldn't think straight. I felt like a crazy person. Like, is this gonna end? Like, I don't know if I could do it. I just felt so not myself and not, how is this all gonna pan out? When it's your first time, first rodeo, becoming a mom, becoming a parent, it definitely is just hard to imagine. And now even looking back at those videos and even like messages I wrote people, I'm like, oh my goodness, like if somebody doesn't have kids and has never gone through what I went through, you would definitely think like, what is wrong with you? Like, you wouldn't understand. You would have no idea. And so that's why I'm trying to convey to the best of my ability, what it's been like, because it's just so weird. Like, even now looking back, it's hard to remember what it was like. So I'm really glad I documented it in the videos, because things are just so different now. Between Sunday and today, it's like a light switch flipped. Before that, basically she was not really aware of like what's going on around her. She would just cry and scream randomly, like doesn't care who people are, where you are. Does she even acknowledge you? Does she even know who you are? You're just trying everything possible to help them, but you oftentimes, especially when it's your first time, you're like trying everything and nothing is working, and so you're kind of just losing it. You're kind of just like confused, lost, overwhelmed, like I can't do this. Like, who told me I could do this? Did I make a huge mistake? Like, looking back at photos from literally Sunday and Monday of her compared to today, she's like interactive. She's like smiling at us. She's noticing, like when we're waving our hands, she's like trying to like move her hands and legs with us. It is just wild, like how different the experience is now that I'm like, you're a human being with a personality, smiling more, seeing us, like noticing and like acknowledging our presence. It's so weird. It's like so much more manageable now. Like, I feel like she just cries when she has like these obvious needs. Not obvious, but it's a lot more obvious than it used to be, and she's not just like inconsolably crying. Side note, when Alex and I first heard her fuss for the first time after we started managing her reflux, we were like, this is what people call fussing? Like, this is nothing. This is like so harmless. She's more calm than she is crying, versus when she was a newborn, she was crying way more than she was ever calm. Like, the calmness was rare, and now she's like calm and content. She's like playing, kicking her feet around, like observing things around her. It's like she's literally a different baby. And also her reflux has gotten so much better too. Actually, I feel like we could probably start weaning her off of her meds pretty soon, I want to say, after going through so much, like the fire of the newborn stuff and like reflux. It's just really hard to describe because it is so different. And then on the flip side, for me, I also feel like a different person. Like, I feel like I went from crazy haze, so out of it, so confused, and now I just feel renewed. I feel rejuvenated. I'm like looking forward to interacting with her, and like I can't wait to like play with her, talk with her, feed her, versus way back in the first month especially, it was like I dreaded every wake window. I dreaded feeding her because she was just screaming all the time. But I feel like if you aren't a mom and you haven't been through it, it's just so hard to comprehend, because it just sounds like that's weird. Like, how would that happen? Yeah, all that to say is, oh my goodness, I'm like bonding with my baby. I don't feel like I'm a stranger to her anymore. It's just the beginning, but already it feels so different. It feels like I'm growing my relationship with her more, like, and I'm also just like coming back to myself, like not the version I used to be, because I'm completely changed forever. Oh, this cat is like coming up to our stroller. Who do you belong to? Oh my gosh, she crawled into the stroller. Let me just like move this so that you guys can see. This cat just came into our stroller. Just perching herself in there, huh? Yeah, so as you can see, I'm like not phased by anything anymore after becoming a mom. There's so many things that just go like not your way, very unpredictable, and so yeah, a stranger's cat is now sitting in my stroller, and that's cool. The other thing is, there's a lot of milestones I feel like I've reached as a mom. And I was thinking about this because a lot of people talk about baby milestones, like developmental milestones, and it's like stressful because you're trying to be like, oh, how come my baby hasn't hit this milestone yet? Or you're like on the lookout for certain milestones, kind of worried if they don't hit it. Fortunately, our baby has been like reaching and showing these like developmental, you know, traits, these like new superpowers kind of early, like kind of before the curve, I guess. So yeah, that's been really exciting, and honestly just like been what has keeping me going because it had been for like basically 9.5 weeks, or I would say like 10.5 weeks. Just been so tough. And as a side note, I feel like God also gave me a couple dreams of my daughter when she's older to like encourage me, because those dreams were like, she's so smart and she's so articulate and she's like the best traits of me and my husband, but also even more. Even when I was in the thick of things, I feel like God was trying to encourage me with those things, being like, it'll get better, it will get better, and it already is getting better. Yeah, back to the milestone thing. I feel like I just want to acknowledge being a mom is really hard, especially if it's your first time. The transition is not even a transition, it's a total shock, total overhaul of everything you think you knew, everything that you used to do a certain way. Everything's different. How you view yourself, how you prioritize, how you relate to time and like time management and juggling different things at once. Like I feel like I've finally tapped into like this new layer of like multitasking that I used to never imagine that I could do, because I was always so terrible at multitasking. Just yesterday, this is one milestone I'll celebrate. I was on a Zoom call while I was feeding my baby, while a maintenance guy came in to address something in our apartment. So I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be a mom? Okay. It's just so hard to describe, but it's like frantic and it's chaotic at the same time. You feel like, wow, I'm so proud of myself for being able to do all this. And it is a lot easier now. Not easier, but more manageable now that I feel like I've grown a lot. My baby's suddenly evolved as a baby from a screaming potato to an interactive human being with a personality. I experienced that like literally this week, like week 10. I feel like some milestones I've been thinking of were first couple times I finally felt like I could handle my baby's crying without being so stressed. Before I had a baby, I was terrified of holding other people's babies and interacting with them because I didn't want them to cry. My biggest fear was this baby's gonna cry, it's gonna trigger me being like, why don't you like me? What's wrong with me? You know, all those things. And so yeah, the first few weeks when your baby's just like crying nonstop, well, you know, depends on what kind of baby you have, but our case, it was that I was so stressed, triggered and stressed and wanting to cry myself a lot. And so yeah, I feel like a milestone maybe around, I would estimate like week 5, week 6, I started to finally feel more confident and calm and kind of just like realizing all babies will cry, it's okay, like she just needs to know that I love her and I'm trying my best to soothe her and she will feel that even if I don't know how to stop her crying. Like that's something that I read and was really encouraging to me, was like they can sense when, even if you're holding them and they're crying, like that's better than just letting them, like in neglecting them basically and letting them cry forever without any person coming to help soothe them. Slowly learning to not take the crying personally made a really big difference, and that has taken a lot of time, but I think around, I would say week 6 when I finally felt a lot better about that. And then maybe like week 3 or 4 was when it started, like it was on an upward trajectory. Also like not being phased by diaper blowouts or spit up and pee and poo. We had our first, I think week 2 or 3, we had our first, like she peed while I was changing her on the changing table, and it was like this fountain, and I was like so shocked because I had never experienced anything like that. It was just like so new, but now like she does it a lot and I'm like not even phased. Same with the projectile pooping. I had my first ever projectile poop into my hand, I think that was week 4, I want to say. And yeah, Alex was with me, we were both there, and he had just put on new pants that he had gotten from the laundry machine or from our dryer, and the poop got on his pants as well. And I remember the sensation of being like, wow, I never knew that fresh poop felt warm in my hand. And we were just like standing there like, what do we do? Same with blowouts. We had many blowouts because she was growing so fast, and so we didn't know what to do when we encountered our first blowouts. It just seemed like such a big mess. Like all of this stuff, all the fluids, like spit up, pee, poo, everything is just so different compared to before, when you don't have a baby and you can like control the environment and you are careful about spilling anything. Probably around week 4, no, maybe week 5, started getting a lot more used to that. And then by week 6 and 7, definitely by week 8, started feeling like not even phased. This is just whatever. I guess one more milestone I'll share is just being able to finally like take care of yourself and like do things you enjoy again consistently and not feel stressed by it. And what I mean is like, you always hear like self-care is so important for postpartum recovery, but people don't tell you like it's hard to do that when you're literally in survival mode and feel like you're dying. And so yeah, for me, my husband and I looked forward to watching the new episodes of Beast Games every week, and that was literally the highlight of my weeks, like for the first few weeks when I was deep in the trenches. And also I tried a couple times to like journal and have some time of like quiet. That was really hard though. I would say not until week 7 that like I started actually getting to do that a bit more. Today is like the first time I have taken her out in a stroller and not felt stressed. Like that is a milestone. Like 2 or 3 days ago we had a power outage. White noise machine wasn't working. She was so fussy and crying so much because she wouldn't sleep. So I had to take her out in a stroller. Alex had to go to like a cafe to do work, and that was really stressful. How are things so different? Like it's just so weird to comprehend. I just wanted to share those tidbits. When it's your first time, you never hear these details. You never hear the exact what the experience really is like. And so I really hope that this helps. Also, if you are like a first time mom to have gone through this, I would love to hear like what your other milestones like that were really exciting for you were when you finally felt like you're growing into your mom shoes, if that makes sense. There's just like so many different things I want to talk about, and I don't even know which one to pick. So yeah, it would really help me if people like left comments about what you want to talk about or hear about, or just hear me vent and rant about, because there's like so much that people just don't talk about. And then it's not until you're in literally like the mom club that suddenly all your mom friends are like, yeah, I went through the exact same thing, and you're like, what in the world? Like I never knew all of this existed. All right, it's time for me to head back to feed her again. Now it's like it's not a big deal anymore versus it used to be like, oh my gosh, another feeding cycle. Help me, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. It's like the light is here. Like I'm seeing the other side. I'm entering the other side. And so it's been really, really exciting. I'm like so blown away.